You'll see this is the direction from the, normally from the branch to all bodies of elders, and it deals with the subject of child molestation, and in particular if you look at the third paragraph.
Thank you.
Those who are appointed to privileges of service, such as elders and ministerial servants, are put in a position of trust. One who has extended privileges in the congregation is judged by others as being worthy of trust. This includes being more liberal in leaving children in their care and oversight. The congregation would be left unprotected if we prematurely appointed someone who was a child abuser as a ministerial or servant or elder. So there are circumstances, aren't there, where it's quite allowed for an elder or a ministerial servant to be alone with a child other than their own.
Well, this, my understanding of this was a warning to let elders know that families might be more trusting of a person and allow their children to be alone with somebody who was a ministerial servant or an elder.
So there's no prohibition on ministerial servants or elders being alone with the child in the congregation?
They're not meant to. It's not, in terms of their rules, they're not supposed to meet alone with children.
Well, what rule can you point to?
It would take me a little bit of time, but that elders in particular are not supposed to meet alone with women or with children. So I would have to spend some time finding where that is.
Does anyone else know where that rule might be?
We'll find out, Your Honour. And
If we go on and look at paragraph 23, I think you've accepted that you identified the wrong reference there. Can you just give us the name of what the proper reference is? It's not the brief review of contemporary sexual offence and sexual abuse legislation in Australia.
No, it's the historical overview of...
Is that also a study that was done for this Royal Commission?
It was done for the Royal Commission, and it's an extensive study with the history as they describe the 1980s.
And then if we look at, still in that paragraph further down, 4 lines from the bottom, it says the article, that's referring to the article Help for Victims of Incest. The article tells the story of an elder who erred by telling a woman to just forget about the abuse and urges readers to listen and show compassion. After telling elders to be thoughtful, the article also points out that some victims of abuse may need to talk with an experienced professional counsellor. Now, insofar as it goes, that's of course correct. But there are limitations on what professional support or therapy that Jehovah's Witnesses can employ under their teachings, aren't there?
Yes?
For example, there would certainly be restrictions on a survivor, cautions or restrictions on a survivor from participating in group therapy.
And that part I don't know about. The only part I've ever heard is that they would recommend to choose someone who was respectful of their religious beliefs.
Okay, well, it's worth taking a quick look at that. That's at 120. That's tab 120, which is the shepherd, the flock, and it's at page 131, which is at ringtail 132. I beg your pardon, I've got the wrong reference there. It's at page 55. Page 55, paragraph 25. So you'll see the paragraph deals with,
No.
or says, do you have it?
I do.
There are times when an emotional distressed Christian may seek professional help, whether a Christian, and by reference to Christian there, it's a reference to a member of the Jehovah's Witness faith, is that right?
That's my understanding of it in this particular text.
Whether a Christian or his family pursues treatment from psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists is a personal decision. An elder should not assume the responsibility of recommending a specific practitioner. He may draw attention to or discuss material in the publications that provide cautions regarding therapies that may conflict with Bible principles, and various Watchtower references are given. And then it says, while participating in group therapy by a professional therapist, while participating in group therapy by a professional therapist is a matter for personal decision, there could be a revealing of confidential facts about other members of the Christian congregation during such sessions. The Christian does not exercise discretion. So you'll see there that participation in group therapy is certainly frowned upon, and there are restrictions with regard to it.
I saw it as it's frowned upon to talk about other people in group therapy, but that's my reading of it.
Well, it's hard to conceive of group therapy when one doesn't talk about what happened to one as a survivor. You would
Right.
accept that.
Absolutely.
And if it was one's father or one's uncle or one's teacher or one's elder or one's ministerial servant, one wouldn't be able to get the benefit of the group therapy without saying it was who abused me.
Right. Right.
So there would be a very substantial restriction, according to this, on a witness's ability to participate in group therapy.
Yeah, it says it's a matter for personal decision and to use discretion, but I could certainly see your point.
And you would accept, of course, that group therapy, in the case of sexual abuse survivors, can be a very important form of therapy, depending on the particular case.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
In paragraph 26, you say that elders are instructed to report crimes according to the law. Do you see that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said I said.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm in your, I beg your pardon, I was very unclear.
Okay.
I'm in your report now, paragraph 26.
Okay.
You see that? Elders are instructed to report crimes according to the law. And then in 27, you say bodies of elders have been instructed to follow the mandatory reporting laws of their state or country and to call the branch legal department for legal advice regarding reporting requirements if anyone reports an allegation of child sexual abuse to them. So just to get that straight, the instruction first is to contact the branch office. Is that right?
That's right.
And then if the branch office advises that there's a mandatory reporting requirement, they must then report. Is that right?
That's right.
So what you don't mean to imply in 26 is that generally elders are instructed to report by, according to the law, you mean when the law requires it?
Under mandatory reporting?
Yes. And in 33, your paragraph 33, that is. You say, regardless of the outcome, the deliberations of a judicial committee and the information they consider are kept confidential. And then you go on to say, like most Christian denominations, Jehovah's Witnesses strive to create a spiritual environment that allows opportunities for sinners and so on. Now, I mean, firstly, you appreciate, I take it, I think it's in your report, that the judicial committee must pass on the findings and significant information about them to the branch office.
Yes.
Yes. So insofar as there's confidentiality, it's not confidentiality to those who are dealing with it. It involves also giving it to others effectively at the country headquarters.
I just want to understand that when you say those who are involved, do you mean those?
The members of the judicial committee.
Maybe you could ask me again. I just have trouble following.
Yes. So when you say that the outcome and deliberations of the judicial committee and the information they consider are kept confidential,
Yes.
you don't mean they're kept confidential just to the members of the Judicial Committee?
No, I should say confidential, a need-to-know basis versus publicly reported.
Yes, and quite unlike the case of the Catholic sacrament of confession, for example.
The Judicial Committee itself would be different than a seal of confession in the Catholic organization.
Yes, the Catholic Church, it's between the penitent, I think is the correct word, and the priest, and it goes to no one else, not the bishop, not anyone.
That's correct.
And whilst in the pastoral work of an elder, there may be circumstances in which someone confesses in a cleansing of sin way, really it's quite different in a Judicial Committee, which is a fact-finding inquiry, isn't it?
Yes. For me, as long as there's more than two people in the room, it's not ordinarily considered a confession in that sort of technical sense.
Yes. So, Dr. Applewhite, just summing up then on that first section of your report dealing with issue number 3, I suggest that the Royal Commission cannot accept the opinion that you express in paragraph 36 as supported by the material presented by you.
In 35?
In 36.
In 36? Are you asking me if I agree with that
Well,
suggestion?
I'm giving, yes. If you don't, I'm giving you the opportunity to respond to it because that's what I'll submit in due course and I need to be fair to you.
Okay. Well, the first work that I did in Australia was I went to Brisbane and Sydney and Adelaide, and there were educational programs that were opened up to anyone who wanted to participate. So there were people from social services and faith-based organizations and schools. And in that process, before I came to do those very first workshops, I did a review to see what was available. There's quite a bit of empirical research that's come out of Australia. I reviewed the empirical research that was here, as well as to review the documents that were available to religious organizations and schools. And so that's the review that I did. And I have tried my best to keep up with all the publications that have been part of religious organizations in terms of making sure that the recommendations that I do provided educational programs are meeting the standard of care. And if there are new things that have evolved or studies that have been published, to make sure that I review those before I offer recommendations. So that's the basis for the opinion.
Now, addressing in particularly the Jehovah's Witness procedure and practice insofar as it's set out in the documents about dealing with complaints or allegations of child sexual abuse. Now, the first step is that 2 elders are to investigate. Is that right? On an
Yes.
elder hearing of such an allegation,
Yes.
then 2 elders must investigate. And that includes interviewing the complainant.
Yes. If there's a complainant versus a witness, yes.
And those 2 elders, of course, necessarily men.
Yes.
And
Elders
very-
are all men.
And very often the complainant is a woman, the survivor, or a child.
I don't know the statistics. I don't know the percentages.
Well, you would have to accept that at least very often.
I can't imagine it being uncommon.
And, well, I can give you the statistics actually. I can give you the statistics, I'll come back to it. then if there's sufficient evidence found, a judicial committee is formed. That's right, isn't it?
That's my understanding, yes.
And that's comprised of 3 elders,
There could be more, but yes, 3 is ordinarily what would be expected.
also necessarily men.
They would have to be men.
And they then would again interview or hear evidence from the witness survivor.
Are you talking about in current practice?
Yes.
In current practice, the survivor could write a letter. The survivor wouldn't necessarily have to meet with everyone together.
Well, that's in extraordinary circumstances, isn't it, if the survivor is far away?
Not my understanding.
Can you identify the origin of your statement with regard to current practice?
Sure. So if you go to the Shepherd of the Flock of God, it's also, I think in your documents, maybe called the Elder Handbook.
Yes, it's at tab 120.
So it would be paragraph 38,
Which page?
72. So it says, they're asking to begin with that someone, that it's loving for the witness to first confront the accused, but then it goes on to say that for the witness by himself to confront the accused may not be advisable in all cases. For example, if the witness and the accused were involved in sexual immorality together, or the witness was a victim of incest or rape by the accused, or is a child and the victim of sexual abuse. Or it may be that the witness is extremely timid.
That, as I understand it, is a statement about the survivor, in the context we're talking, approaching the abuser themselves, isn't it?
Yes. And as part of the investigation process.
Well, I'm not sure I understand that to be an investigation step. It's a step that may have consequences for the investigation, but it's being put there as an attempt to, I assume, have the abuser confess to the abuse. Is that right?
As leaving out the possibility that somebody who, or the likelihood that somebody who was sexually abused would have to confront the person.
Sorry?
Leaving out the person who was abused having to confront their offender.
In order to persuade or encourage the abuser to confess.
To confess, yes.
Yeah.
But the investigative stage is the next paragraph, isn't it? If the accused denies the accusation, the investigating elders should try and arrange a meeting with him and the accused together. And then it's got a note, if the accusation involves child sexual abuse and the victim is currently a minor, the elders should contact the branch office before arranging a meeting with the child and the alleged abuser. The standard is still to do 2 things. One, the investigating elders must interview the victim, not so?
Yes.
And the standard, with exceptions allowed, possibly from the branch office, is for that meeting to include the survivor confronting the accused.
I believe we would probably have to go to the letter to the elders from October of 2012.
Well, just let me make sure we're taking our steps carefully, though.
Okay.
39, as I presently understand it, requires the child or the abused, the survivor, to be present with the abuser. And if that doesn't happen, then the matter's to be left, as it says in Jehovah's hands. Is that right?
Just a moment. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I get the reference right. And you're on which paragraph?
39.
Okay.
So if the accused denies, try to arrange a meeting. And then if the accuser or the accused is unwilling to meet, or continues to deny the accusation of a single witness, then it's left not resolved.
From their spiritual standpoint, I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I know we're talking about what happens
We're
within
talking
your-
about factual matters here.
Right, but there's also
Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.